What I'm looking for in a bank is one that's looking out for me, like NBT. I want a relationship and a team that supports me in my dreams. And when life gets challenging, I need a bank that's focused on what matters. Not to mention one that's been top rated by Forbes in trust, customer service, financial advice, and more. That's why when it comes to meeting my banking needs, it's always NBT. Learn more at nbtbank.com. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome and thanks for tuning in. This is Tom Hickey from 2020 Media, and you are listening to On the Scene podcast presented by NBT Bank, where we reach over 250,000 readers of WeHa.com, West Hartford Magazine, and the Jewish Ledger, live 24/7, 365. Thanks for joining us today, taking time out of your schedule. We hope you enjoy our guest today. But before we introduce our guest, I will introduce Bob Carr, who is my. I have to stop calling him my partner in crime for this podcast because I keep doing it every time we say it. But my partner in presenting and producing the podcast On the Scene for you guys. So, hi, Bob. How are you?
Hi, Tom. How are you? And so Tom Hickey, who just introduced me, along with myself, Kosar Makati, and Ronnie Newton, as a founder and partner in WeHa.com. Tom's company, 2020 Media, brings to West Hartford Magazine, the Connecticut Jewish Ledger, the best of West Hartford. Its 10th year coming up this coming fall, plus numerous other fun events throughout the year. Our podcast is assembled and produced by and put together by the Modern Observer Group. And today we have back Kalita from WeHa Cleaning, or West Hartford Cleaning. And we're going to discuss today the joys and psychological effects, positive effects of having a clean home and probably a clean office. So welcome, Kalita. Thank you for coming back.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here. I feel like this is such an important topic that kind of gets forgotten in the cleaning world. The importance of of a clean space. And one thing I always like to compare is imagine walking into a room where there's paper everywhere, there's things on the floors, you can't really walk around. The countertops are full of bottles. You kind of become overwhelmed by just being in that space. So a clean space will definitely help you with your mental health. And I feel like after COVID as well, because so many people were spending so much time inside their homes, they started to realize how important it is to have a clean space and become a minimalist, right? And have more space to just be able to, I guess in a way, I feel like when you're too cluttered, you feel like you stop yourself from growing because you're so focused on organizing what's here and what's there, and you lose focus on what's really important, which is being able to grow yourself and be able to change new things. Maybe, change your I don't know, maybe you look into your house and you say, you know what? I need new countertops, but because they were so covered before, I didn't really pay attention. So things like that, that are so minor becomes way more different when you start organizing. Your mental health becomes more free. One thing that's really cool, actually, is that it's actually proven scientifically that if you have a cleaner house, a house that's less cluttered, you actually have more you have more energy, and you actually tend to spend more time outside and actually working out. And in general, like everything around you just tends to be much better.
And Kalita, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm married to Siobhan. This is Tom. I'm married to Siobhan, a clean freak. A little bit. So, nothing can be out of its place in a very loving way. I mean that. But to me, when I hear you talk about cleaning, I almost think of two types of cleaning, and maybe this is not an accurate, takeaway, but I'm thinking of like cleaning, like decluttering, and not having a mess around you, and then cleaning, like not having dust and just, and just being clean. Is it two different things, or?
I guess they were sort of different, but in a way the same, because you also you need to declutter to be able to dust something, right? I feel like sometimes just this piles on top of the clutter and then just starts piling up. So I think they're kind of the same thing, but yet they're different. Obviously, just being able to have a clean house, I always say it's a luxury. So if you have the luxury of being able to afford a cleaning service, obviously that is going to bring you peace of mind, because you don't have to worry about, oh, I have to, there's people coming over, I have to clean the house. Oh, you don't have to worry about that because you do have a cleaning service that's coming for you. So that takes the stress out of your life, right? We actually have a
And
client
there's
who
a selfish plug for WeHa Clean. So anyway, there you go. Right
yes, yeah, perfect. Thank you.
there.
Visit us at WeHaClean.com. But the thing about that is that, you know, we had a client who she hired us because she was kind of desperate. She's like, I have a really hard time keeping up. We both work from home. You know, at the end of the day, no one wants to clean after, you know, working from home all day. You're kind of just exhausted of being inside your house. All you want to do is just like either be out or not have to worry about the little things. And she said that we actually ended up saving her marriage because of the fact that we started cleaning her house. It's just that they were able to finally have more time. It was less arguments in between them. So it's kind of crazy how something so simple that you would think that sometimes might not matter actually matters quite a lot.
So when you first walk into someone's home, or a lot, like you said earlier, a lot of people these days are working from home, like me, you know. But so, and let's just, and again, because I'm married to a neat freak, it's as neat as can be. But say you walk into a real mess, you know, what do you say to those people? What do you do? Like, do you say, you know, before we clean, you have to put things away, or do you just move things around, or?
Yeah, so we don't really do any like horrible like hoarder homes. We haven't done anything like that. Actually, we done it a long time ago. It was one house that we actually cleaned, and it was more of a volunteer job that we did, and it was really awesome to contribute to that. But in general, if we go into a house and we see that's a little more messier than usual, they have kids, dogs, you know, I get it, I understand. Um, I highly recommend usually trying to at least declutter for us to be able to actually clean the house, the real surfaces, get to the baseboards, get to the corners that might have stuff just sitting there. So I highly recommend, you know, kind of doing your own decluttering before we get there, because there's a lot of things that we're not sure if it's something that you want to keep, if it's something that's meant to stay where it is, you know. So we usually ask for them to do a little picking up before we go into their home and be able to really have the ability to give that deep of deluxe clean as we like to offer.
So you guys have a well. So I just actually just looked up and make sure I have a name right. Like Marie Kondo, we discussed, you know, putting things in certain places. You know, getting decluttering your life, getting rid of things that don't matter to you, things that you're saving for probably no reason at all. Do you guys have a template or a worksheet you give to folks before you come in and clean their home to help them kind of get the idea of how to declutter?
Yeah, so we do have a guideline that we send to every client explaining our expectations for when we get to the house, because like I said, a lot of times you know, we can get to a home where there's no space for us to like kind of like really get our job done. So it'll become very difficult for us, right? And we'd rather, you know, not clean than, you know, not perform our best service. So we do send a guideline. Obviously, we don't send something so personal, but I like the idea, Bob. I might actually add that on to as a list of people for them to know what to do. So I like that.
Oh yeah. So like for us, we're working on it. It's been here a couple of years now, but we went from having two places to live. First world. This is obviously a first world problem. Having two homes, moving down to one home. And this house is probably half the size of the house we moved out of in Connecticut before we moved here full time. So there's all this stuff that kind of came with us. We have a storage unit which we're kind of shrinking down. Pam likes to decorate for the holidays. I think we have 5 Christmas trees that go up. So we have all this Christmas stuff, and then we have holiday, Easter, and whatever. So it becomes more difficult over time when you're downsizing to get rid of things that you've kept for forever, but you probably don't need anymore. So, you know, that I'm sure that's an issue that people have that are out there in the marketplace.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think we all do, right? I mean, I had a storage for a long time that I actually ended up throwing everything away because it was all things that from older house and just didn't work with what I had. So I think the thing is also like really taking the time and like I said, I think last time on our last podcast we talked about spring cleaning, right? And the importance of that. So also creating a strategic plan to declutter your house is very important. So maybe tackling certain rooms, focusing on certain areas. If you do have a storage, that's a perfect place to start because that will save you money and then you can invest it in cleaning. So it makes sense. It will save you the time. So I highly recommend, you know, just creating a plan and tackling certain things. Obviously, you know, there's 3 ways that you can go about, you know, obviously sentimental things. I always say keep sentimental things that are important to you. But there's other things that you kind of just hold on because, oh, I've had this since, you know, just because I had this, and really think about it. How does that bring you any type of emotion or feeling? Then you should keep it. If not, if it's something that you really don't care for, sometimes it might be even causing you more anxiety than you think because there's so much of it, right? And I think that's, like you said, we live in a first world problem where we are constantly purchasing things from Amazon, getting new things in our door, and all of a sudden we have a house full of things that we technically don't really need, right?
Mm.
Years ago,
This isn't really a cleaning thing, but it just made me think of it, so I wanted to share it. When we too, my wife and I, are in the process of downsizing as well, and one of the things that I also had to do because of COVID was I also had an office, that had 30 years worth of files and artwork and posters and all that. Which it was funny, a very good friend of mine, hi Karen Comer, if she's listening, said to me, it means something to you, but it doesn't mean anything to anybody else, a little bit. So what she said was get rid of it, but before you get rid of it, take a picture. And then
Yeah,
she's
that's a good idea.
and whenever you want to see it, like you have a gazillion pictures on your phone, whatever, you can go back, or you can print them out and make a book out of it, or whatever, something. But she goes, you won't lose it because you'll always have a picture. So that's what I ended up doing with many, 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 many old, trinkets and posters and, different things that I had. So anyway, just wanted to share that.
That's a great idea. No, it's a great idea because,
Yeah.
it's probably easier to look at on your phone than to pull the poster out again.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, you had this big 24 by 30, whatever. It was crazy. So,
Right. Exactly. So, on the psychology of cleaning, I mean, I read a lot, being a sales guy over the decades, you read a lot about psychology of success, and that success is built around you're creating your environment and creating an environment that you want to live in or be in. So you kind of project into the future, kind of a Tony Robbins. I'm not a big Tony Robbins fan, but a Tony Robbins kind of thing. So similarly, I would think that psychologically, having a clean home, like you said earlier, we started off with, is having all these positive, emotional things that happen for you. So what else have you run into where you've been in a home where it's been transformed from cluttered and kind of messy to nice and clean? How have you besides of saving someone's marriage, what else have you run into?
Yeah, no, I think we had pretty good, we've been pretty lucky, but I think mostly, like I said, we did that volunteer job, which was for somebody going through a very tough time, and you could tell that they were having a tough time because of their home. And it's that thing, right? I think because you start you start losing the focus and you start cluttering your house even more. You start becoming more antisocial. You don't have people over. You start having all these other things that are keeping people away. So those depressions, those feelings start coming because you're living so secluded because you're afraid of that. So what we usually recommend is just having our clients, if we notice that they're having a little bit of an issue, is just to maybe create we actually have sent this as a marketing email for our clients, which it worked really well. But it was telling them how to really digitize, like Tom said, sorry, I can't say the word, digitizing their paperwork.
Nice. Yeah.
Yep. Implementing like a storage solution. So those are things that really help, right? Cleaning as you go as well. So making sure that they're cleaning as they go. And then obviously creating like a donation pile. I feel like that sometimes people just giving back will really help that feeling of getting rid of things, right? So creating things that they can donate and things like that will be very helpful.
Great. Kalita, if you don't, I'm going to ask this. This is probably a little bit not so much psychology of cleaning, but maybe just psychology in general. I mentioned a couple days ago to someone that we were going to have you on as a podcast, guest. And they had actually listened to the first podcast, which I think just aired, last week or, whenever it was. But they said two things to me that I thought were interesting, and you must come across them all the time. So I don't know if this is the right segment to mention it in, but I just wanted to throw it out there because I thought it was interesting. One was, I don't want anyone snooping at all of my personal and private, things that I have in my house. And I sort of chuckled over that because I'm whatever. I don't have anything that personal, somebody could snoop as much as they want, whatever, have at it. And the second thing was, it seems like, I'll have to put all my valuables away. So how do you address those two things, or is this not the right time to talk about that?
No, I mean, we get those questions all the time. I think for people who are afraid of letting people inside their space, I totally understand. And that's why you usually should hire a professional company because, we are professionals. We understand that it's your safe space. We're not taking pictures of your things without consent. I have seen that from other people, so do be careful. We make sure that we ask permission to the places that you want to go. So if there is something where you don't want us to see, where it's like, I don't know, this is too personal, yes, I would recommend maybe hiding that or putting that away. But when it comes to also your personal things that are valuable, I mean, like I said, we are a professional company. We're trained and our people are, screened, background checked. So we trust our employees. So we expect for you to trust as well. And for us is also, if you think about it from the cleaning perspective, we're also going to somebody's house, somebody's space. We never know what to expect. So there needs to be a mutual trust between the client and the cleaners and the company or whoever that is. And that takes time to build. But usually we haven't had any issues. Thank God. We're very blessed. I mean, we've also, like I said, we do hire the best people. We really concentrate on making sure that, our people are being screened and going through our whole on process when hiring so we can really trust them. Most of our girls have been with us for more than 3 years now. So, we do have that trust as well that has been built. So that's what I would say. Actually, 4 years now that I'm thinking. But it's, that's what I would say usually. And then obviously, making sure, like I said, if there is something that's very valuable to you that you wouldn't want anyone even touching, like for me, it's a sentimental thing. I have this one vase my grandmother gave me and she's passed away and it's very important to me. So I know when my cleaners are coming, when they're around, I usually do put that away because I'm like, if this was broken, this is the one thing that I know that there's no money that can buy, that, it's a sentimental value. It's really important to me. So I rather not even put them in jeopardy and just put it away. So it keeps it safe.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you. I wasn't sure if that was the right time.
I said someone listened, had a question, and we can answer it.
Yeah, exactly. That is great.
That's a positive thing.
Something about psychology and cleaning. It's pretty, it's pretty straightforward. Like you have a clean space, you have a clean mind. That's how I kind of see it. I don't know about you guys, but if my house is a mess, I cannot get work done. I just gotta walk around all day trying to get things done and don't get the actual work done. So,
no, just it's true. Yeah. You walk, my office is in my home, but if I open up the door and walk into my office and there's crap everywhere, I mean, you feel like you have to organize it and put it all back together again before you can even start. It's true.
And believe it or not, that actually has like a mind effect on you that it keeps your brain thinking that you're never done. And that's the reason why it affects people so much. It's because your brain is always like, okay, well, I'm not done with this. I have to finish this. And then it's always going back and forth trying to figure out where it needs to actually focus on. So that if you have ADHD, which I do, which is really difficult to be able to get things done, I usually prep things around myself so that I can actually get things throughout my day. So, cleaning up as I go, making sure I have a declutter list. Like I'm actually planning a whole like clean spree in my house right now. I'm looking at everything I just want to throw out because I just need space.
Absolutely. Great. I know there's silence, so maybe we're there. Anything else you need to say about it? I mean, I just love the whole topic because I've never thought of it that way before, but like you said, clean home, clean office, clean mind, fresh perspective, it's just, yeah, I think it just helps people in general. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
How, Kalita, do people get in touch with you and, website, phone number, what works best?
Yes, so our website's super simple, WeHaClean.com. Our number is actually 860-325-3825. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on Facebook at WeHa Clean. And we'll be so excited to help you. And we also take free quotes. So if you're interested, give us a call.
Beautiful. It's great. And I think, as Bob said earlier, if anyone has a question, they can reach out to you direct, or feel free to let me and Bob know. And we'll make sure that we get an answer to your question for you. So thanks again for tuning in. Bob, anything else before I sign off?
No, I think we're good. That was a lively conversation. That was on psychology of cleaning. I think it makes a tremendous amount of sense what Kalita was talking about. I'm looking at my desk right now. I'm going on pretty clean. I'm happy.
I know. I have to admit, I did just look around mine, and it's all over my floor. So I need to take care of those 12 piles that are on the floor. And so anyway, I will do that before we have our next podcast. So thanks to thanks to our sponsor, NBT Bank, because without them, we would not be able to bring this podcast to you. And again, thanks for tuning in. Oh, one thing I did want to add, which was interesting, Bob was kind enough to have some results shared with us from the podcast to date. We've had what, Bob, like 15 or so?
15,
and I learned, and I never knew about it, so I wanted to share it with everybody. Many of you listen on Streaker. So not like a speaker, but it's like I think of an old-fashioned streaker. It's not that either. A little bit, but it's a great source. You just go to that streaker.com and Google search On the Scene, and we pop right up, and you can listen to any one of our 15 shows. So I never knew about it, so I think it's an app we would share with everybody, and those of you who have been listening to us that way, thank you very much. Stay tuned for our next series. We will be having Kalita and Phil from WeHa Clean back. Again, I don't know what the topic will be, but who knows? Maybe you guys have some ideas. Let us know. In the meantime, thanks again to NBT Bank. Thanks to all of you for listening and for joining us, and we'll see you next time on the Scene.
What I'm looking for in a bank is one that's looking out for me, like NBT. I want a relationship and a team that supports me in my dreams. And when life gets challenging, I need a bank that's focused on what matters. Not to mention one that's been top rated by Forbes in trust, customer service, financial advice, and more. That's why when it comes to meeting my banking needs, it's always NBT. Learn more at nbtbank.com. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.